And we are live. So, hello everyone. This is Raul, Sampriti, Patrick, Thomas, and Shafiq for our first client meeting on TakeMeAway. So, Shafiq, this is the first time we all get to meet with the team and all that. We
Yeah.
thought it would be good to finally get together and discuss some of the stuff we've been working on so far. Okay. So,
Absolutely. It's a pleasure, and it's great that you guys are helping us out here.
mhm. Yeah, and I can say we've been having much fun with it so far.
That's
Hopefully,
great.
we get to the finish line soon. Okay, but
Perfect.
let me just share my screen here. I don't know if you can see. Are you on your computer or on the phone?
I'm in a computer. It's a
A
laptop.
computer. Okay, so you should be able to see my screen now.
I see
Can you
myself. Yeah,
can you all
uh,
see my screen now?
yeah.
Now I can see. Yes. Oh, but now I
Is it
cannot
okay?
see.
You cannot see.
Yeah. Now I can see. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so if you click, Shafiq, if you click on Raul's little box there, then you see it all the time. You know, and the it
Ah.
wouldn't
All
jump
right.
back and forward. Yeah,
Yep.
I,
I got it. Yep.
yeah. And you can also turn off. You
Okay.
guys can turn off your videos because that improves the bandwidth, and we can have a better sound quality. So there is a video button up in the top bar,
Yep.
Shafiq. Yeah, there you go. So I think that's a little better because that generally improves the quality of the Hangout.
Okay. All right. So I think I'm gonna just start off with Pivotal Tracker. I know we sent you an invitation to Pivotal Tracker a while back, but it was probably a whole lot confusing to you. You probably didn't understand what was happening in here, right?
Yep.
So what we use Pivotal Tracker for is to essentially track all the progress on all the features that we have to implement on this application. So just a quick brief, we have on the side here we have the ice box where we'll list all the item that we'll focus on at some stage during the progress. And then
Mm-hmm.
on the current list here is what we currently working on at the moment. Some of them are actually done, and we'll go through them during this meeting so that you can. Well, what's going to happen is I'm going to explain to you what the feature does, and then depending on, I'll present to you the approach we used on that, and then you will tell us whether or not it fits your current situation. Okay, and then that's when we're then going to either accept the feature or reject it for further development. Does that make sense?
Perfect. Yep. Absolutely.
All right, cool. So the first thing I want to kind of like explain, I know you briefly touched on that with Thomas at the first client meeting. So what we're currently working on this project is we sort of like have two parts to the application. So the first part, in which is well, the most important part, is the back end application, the admin application, where which you as the owner of the restaurant will have access in order to create your menus,
Mm-hmm.
create all the product that you're gonna be displaying on. I mean, all the product that you sell in your restaurant, right? All your menu items and all that.
Mm-hmm.
So that interface will allow you to create those items, and then we'll expose them to via an API, so that you, if ever you have, because I know you're planning on building a website for that, so that the people that will be building the website can talk to that API and get the menu items and all the menus and display them on the web application, so that your customers can view them and place orders online and that kind of thing. So we're currently mainly focusing on that admin part of things,
Mm-hmm.
but also we started working on a sort of like a mock-up application, front-end application, just to sort of like show you how such an application would like interact with our admin. With the admin backend that we're currently building. So that's that's what we decided to focus our energy on at the moment. Okay.
Perfect.
So
question.
yes.
These menu items that you are focusing right now, or the potential customers who will first look at the page, that front page, will it be a multiple pages or will it be a one page?
Okay, so we'll go over that. I'll show you what we built so far. Maybe it will make more sense once I get to that point. Then
absolutely. Okay, sorry. Yeah, please.
But
please
keep in mind that whatever we have now is just like for demo purposes. It's not like a finished thing. You can decide to give it whatever direction you want at the later stage. Okay. But then what we focused on right now is giving you all the functionalities to create menus and then exposing them to that application you'll be building. Okay.
Yep.
All right. So to start off, you'll see we have some stories here that we started working on, like creating menu items, menu categories, orders, and so on. So those are like at the beginning where we were trying to define the domain model for this application, like what entities do we need to support on the application and so forth. So to start at the top level, we will probably have the admin. The menu item, which is going to be a representation of the dishes you serve in your restaurant. Okay, and this will essentially have remember, it will have a name.
A good thing here is to read the user story role. That should also explain a lot.
Okay, so here we have the user story. Says, yeah, as an admin, when I create the weekly or daily menu, I would like to have many dishes to choose from.
So that is an object, that is an entity we created, basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that makes sense. I mean, it's a logical thing, you know. In order to be able to create a menu, you have to have some. It's like your recipe book, basically, right?
Yeah. So you create these pages or this. What do you call that unit? The small unit.
You can say an entity or a model.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So you create entity for each menu.
An instance of a model. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Okay, does that make sort of sense?
Yep. Yeah. Perfect.
Okay. So these menu items now are going to form part of what we call a menu, which is going to be, as it says here, in order to be able to offer my food to clients, I would like to be able to create weekly menus. So when the client, the customer will get to your page, for instance, they will see a menu for today, or maybe for Thursday, and so on. And then that menu will have menu items, which are your dishes and all that. So that's a bit that's the approach we took on this front so far. And
is it possible to send me this link so I can log in there, because your window is a bit small for me to see?
I thought you got an invitation, but
I did invite you to this.
I probably have it. But
okay, I'll send you an email now with.
Let me see if I have it already. Okay, it came from Pivotal Tracker, yeah.
Yeah. But Raul just sent you a fresh link to that particular page that he's showing right now.
All right. Is it via email or in this text message?
Via email.
Email.
Okay. Somebody was saying something.
No, we can move on. We can go over all the attributes for each model later on when we go through the acceptance tests, basically.
Okay. All right, cool. So we did that for menu categories, items, and order here is okay. So this is what the customer, when the customer goes to your website, they will place orders on all, depending. So it says here, as a client, so that I can get my food, I would like to be able to place an order. Okay. So for you, the administrator of the website, in order to know what to cook, out, you would like to leave the food out to. You'd like to see all the information, including the client details and the dish details. So this will with this you'll be able to see all the order that have been placed through your website from the admin interface, and then you'll then know what to prepare and who to give it to once it's ready, essentially. Okay.
Okay. So so far does that make sense? The menu item, menu, and order entities. Is that?
Yeah, I think it's a pretty good logical sequence. Maybe when it comes with the order placement, maybe is it possible to have a logical what do you call that, roof, so that we don't get too many orders for a given day, for example.
Oh, interesting. Good
because, for example, like it's a practical issue that we can cook up for a certain number of people per day, for example, and if the order comes more than that, then of course we're in a bit of a trouble.
Absolutely. Now, Shafiq, would you like to limit that on a dish level? Like if you do, chicken tandoori or whatever, you know that I can serve like 25 or 50 of these today, and
right, some kind of control over there.
But on what level, basically? On a total level that you don't want to have too much to do, or is it because you don't have ingredients to certain dishes? You know what I mean?
I would like it to be for the administrator to be flexible, so that the administrator can set it up. It pretty much depends on the menu. Okay. Certain menus can go like 50 or 100, or certain menus can be like 25 or 50.
All right, I hear you. Let's. I've written this up as a talking point, so we can return to that after we have gone over all the current features. Great, it's a very interesting feature. Absolutely, we can talk about it. But from what I'm hearing, we can accept the menu item, and order stories. Basically.
Absolutely, yeah. The one more thing maybe could be that it will be good to have a confirmation towards the customer and towards the kitchen, so that both party has the same information.
Yeah, currently we are on a very low unit level, so but the confirmations are all absolutely a feature that we can discuss. So yeah.
Okay. So I'm just gonna quickly accept these, the menu item and
menu category. Absolutely. I think it's really good.
Okay. So that's fine. Creating orders, that's fine.
Yeah, I would be careful about clicking accept on menu category though, because we haven't spoken about that yet, and we probably won't talk about it today, because it's a little bit outside of scope for today's meeting, the menu category. So just mark it as undone. Yeah, delivered. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. So the next step was the user. This was regarding the administrator. The administrator user access to the admin interface. Yeah. So as an application owner, in order to get authorization to create dishes, menu, and manage orders, I would like to create an admin account. So this was, yeah.
And this is a very basic account with only an email and password. So
the password.
Yeah, it's only for administrative purposes. Right. In the future, Shafiq, we can talk about things like if you have employees, then we can create some accounts for them. But for now, in this first iteration, we thought that a basic account structure will be sufficient.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough to start with. Yeah.
All right.
All right. Cool. The next thing was the admin interface itself. So this was just, in order to be able to use the application, I would like to be able to access admin interface when I visit the application. And thus, should I probably show him what we have now?
Yeah. Now you can. It's a good point to jump over to the root path of the yeah.
So, okay, I'm just gonna quickly log out now because I was already logged in. But essentially, this is what you will get on the dashboard.
Mm-hmm.
We've got a dummy user right now.
Mm-hmm.
And so this, as soon as you log into the admin interface, you'll get this dashboard page, where in future maybe you could have, I don't know, your report and so on, if you get what I mean. But then right now we're focusing on being able to create menus.
Yeah, we can go back a little bit. At this stage, you can show him just that he can access his own information at the top right corner with admin, and he can log out from that. That's the interesting.
Okay. So, in this dashboard, what else will there be? Like admin menu and what else?
We could discuss on whatever you would like to have on this dashboard at some later stage.
Yeah, you can see the current order status or some variables, so key.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So it's possible to add on the variables basically.
Once again?
Say again?
It's possible to add on the variables in the dashboard.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so let's jump back to Pivotal now for a sec.
Okay, so this was what the story was about, creating this admin interface. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So are you happy with that?
Yes, it's perfect.
Okay, cool. Okay, now on to authorization. As admin user, in order to access management features, I would like to be authorized to do so. This was essentially to like wanted, like for instance, if someone a privilege. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry, your voice was broken down. And now it's okay.
So a good way to show this is to log out the admin and log in the client. We have a client.tma.org account, and that is a good way, because you see here, Shafiq, at the top you have some menu items as an admin, where you can create menus and orders. But if you log in as a client,
client, do you mean
you just don't see that anymore? So you're not authorized to. Only admins are authorized to work in the system. Yeah.
But when you say client, what does it mean, client here?
Well, the clients are basically people that have any kind of user that is not an admin. And we created this client account just to showcase the difference between an admin account and a non-admin account.
All right. Yeah.
So correct me if I'm wrong.
So they're not the customers really.
They could be in the future. They could be customers. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, but they could also be your employees. Maybe if you want to give someone access to the admin panel to do some limited stuff.
Okay. All right.
Like an employee could view orders because he has to work with them, but he cannot change dishes and do some other administrative work. Basically.
Perfect. Okay. Yeah. Understood.
Okay.
So exactly. Okay, so that's the authorization story basically.
Okay. Okay. Moving on to the menu item workflow.
Yeah, now it's a good way to check the story, but also jump over to the acceptance test.
Acceptance test. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So here's what we had in mind for this. As an admin, in order to be able to add dishes and other products to the system, I would like to be able to access an interface for creating, updating, and deleting menu items. Okay. So the first thing I'm gonna probably quickly just gonna quickly show you what we had on the acceptance
Is
level.
there a way for you to increase the font size on your terminal window?
Okay. Okay, so is this better?
I see the same thing. But it's probably cool. I mean, if everybody can, yeah, this is better perhaps.
Anyway, I just wanted to open this so that I can show you.
Yeah.
So what we are looking at in this?
So we're looking at the menu item workflow. The one thing that I want to show you is so when we developing these things, we have what we call acceptance test, which is essentially your business rule, if I can put it like that. Like, what would be the criteria for creating a menu item, for instance? Like, what are the steps that we need to take in order to achieve that? So I just want us to go through them, and then you'll tell me whether it's something close to what you would do.
Okay. Yep.
So it reads like plain English. In order to be able to, I don't know if you can see this. Can you read what I have on my screen?
If you increase the size a little bit more, then I think I'll be able to read. One font more, or one, yeah, perfect. I can read it now.
Is this fine?
Yeah, wonderful.
Okay. So this is how this feature goes. As an administrator, in order to be able to add dishes and other products to the system, I would like to be able to access an interface for creating, updating, and deleting menu items. Okay. So this is the background to this feature, which says I have the following menu items that I have, which is a chicken or beef or whatever, and then they have both price associated to them. And when I log in as an admin, this will be on the administrative application that just show you now.
Okay.
And I move to the products page. I should be able to see a page with a list of all these items.
Okay.
Makes sense. So this is provided these items were already created in the system. Then I should be able to see those.
Okay, do I read it right that once we have created this, it will remain in the database somewhere?
Yes.
Exactly.
Later stage, if same menu comes back.
If you want that, if you wish that, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that would be great to have that feature. That
every menu item is persistent in the database, and every menu item can be shown on several menus. You know, so if you have one, one Monday, and then 2 weeks later you want to have chicken again, you just pull that into that menu. So it is persistent. Yes.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
So yes.
No, I just say that the next scenario is for creating this. It's a workflow for creating that menu item. So we can go over that.
Okay. So when I want to create a menu item, when I click on the new product link, there will be a link on. I'll show you on the admin now. There should be a link to create new product.
So sorry, question. Just spontaneous question. This new product, does it mean new page, or does it mean new icon in one?
New entry in the database, right?
New entry in the database. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Are we on the same page now?
Yeah.
Cool. So when I click on that new product link, and I fill in the name of the product with Paul, I fill in the price with some value, and I click Create Menu Item button, then I should be on the view page for that menu. So it should show me sort of like a summary of the item I'm about to create. Okay. And then I should see the menu was successfully created. So this is the workflow for creating a menu item.
Yeah. And just to showcase this, Shavik, if you remember what we just read, those 7 lines, you know, I click on new product, I fill in name and price, I create menu button, and you know, then I should see whatever I just filled in. And now if you do that, actually,
I'm just going to quickly show you.
Yeah, that would be great. So because what you just saw is a small computer program that is executed and then a piece of software actually does that, you know. But now we can show you how it is done in real life. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's really cool. Which language is it? This program?
That you saw now, it's a Cucumber feature. It's written in Gherkin, but executed in Ruby. So this is technical mumbo jumbo. Doesn't really mean much to you, perhaps, but it means a lot to us.
It looks like Python to me. Almost looks like Python.
Well, Python is a little more computery kind of, but yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm just going to quickly showcase.
Yeah, just to do the same thing that we did, you know, in that scenario, and then we can actually run that scenario and show Shavik how that looks like, you know.
Yep.
Okay, so this is, I'm on the admin page, then I should be on the product. You see, we can already see all the items that were previously created in the menu. Okay.
Yeah.
And you get this new product links, just like it was described in the feature.
Up in the corner there's a new product link, yeah. And now you can, you know,
you get this one.
Fill in the name and the price.
Enter name.
Price. Can it also add some picture or things like that?
Absolutely, it's in the pipeline.
It's just not something that we're working on. It's not done yet.
All right.
Patrick and Sampriti are working on that feature right now.
Perfect.
And obviously, you add some description to your
your
menu item.
How big this description can be?
As big as you want. But to our, is there?
We haven't limited. There's no limit on that so far. So we haven't limited it yet.
But this will pop up in the web page for the customers.
It will.
Because one potential interesting thing could be to have the ingredients written.
That's a separate feature. We can add that. We can talk about it. You know, in
Because one of the laws that is coming up in Sweden is that it is important to pinpoint the ingredients as much as possible.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Towards the customer. Yeah.
All right. So once I fill that in, and then I just hit the button Create Menu Item. You see, I get a summary of what I just created. With the name here on top, and then the price and the description.
And it says menu item was successful.
Menu item was successfully created.
Yeah.
Just like we described in the feature here, right? Okay.
Yeah. So now, just to showcase this, we don't have to do this for all scenarios. But if you run line 18 in that particular file.
So feature menu item workflow.
And colon 18, yeah. So now he's going to run that scenario, Shavik, and computer program will execute those steps and tell us if everything is working. What is that?
Just a warning. Nothing important.
Okay.
Hold on. He's thinking.
Oops. This is an issue with the database cleaning. We need to address that.
Okay. Hold on a second.
I'm just going to clean the database now. And for some reason, when those tests hang, it doesn't work afterwards.
So let's run again.
Okay.
So now you see the system did all those steps, and everything is green, which means that everything happened as it should happen. And here on the side, I don't know if you can read that. That's the commands that are being run, the step definitions that are being run for each scenario step, basically.
Okay, so somewhere here, yeah.
Yeah.
I can vaguely see them, yeah.
Yeah. But if we jump back to the Atom window now, we can go over the rest of the steps there.
So the next scenario is about editing an existing menu item. It goes as follows. When I click, okay, keep in mind that all these scenarios are dependent on this background that we have here. Okay. So you need to be logged in as admin on that page, and you need to be on the product page before you do each and every steps. Okay.
Yeah. Question. Considering when we say menu, how do we define the menu? Is it for 1 day menu or is it for 1 week menu?
It's a good question. It's not really relevant for the menu item, but it depends a little bit on how you define a menu later on. There's a lot of flexibility for you to define that.
All right. Yeah, that's good.
Okay, so in order to edit an existing menu, when I click the edit link for beef, then I should be on the edit page for menu item beef. When I fill in the price with 35 and click update menu button, then I should be on the view page for the menu beef, and I should see menu was successfully updated. Yeah. So I'm just going to quickly jump back to the web page, and so I move to the product page. You'll see on every item you have small links here on the side. So the one we're looking at now is the edit button, which will allow us to edit this menu item. So when I click on this, I then get this form with the details already existing. Okay, so the price was previously 20. Let's say maybe I changed this. I'm not happy with this price. I want to increase it. Let's say you want to add something more onto the name. So once you do that and you click on update the menu, you see the name change and the price also changed. Now it says that the menu item was successfully updated. And if I go back to the product list, you'll see that this also changed. Okay.
Yeah, so it's all written to the database and persistent. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Okay. All right.
So the hierarchy is that first menu, then products, or first product, then menu.
Yes, absolutely. You have to have some products in the system, you know, and then you pull those products into the menu. So at this stage, Raul, you cannot just go over the headlines on each scenario. Perhaps we don't have to go over each individual step.
Each steps. Okay. Cool. So the next one is viewing existing menus. I think we covered that. To view, you just need to click on this view link, and then it will show you the item, the name, the description, and the product details. Okay. Deleting an existing item. Again, you need to be on the product page to view all the items. Then you just click on the delete button. Link. And then you get this confirmation message asking if you want to delete this item or not. So if you say cancel, then it won't delete. If you say okay, we don't have that item anymore. It was destroyed, and we don't have that on the database anymore. Okay.
So you do not keep any track of the deleted items in this system?
Not in this system.
So not in the system, not at the moment.
All right.
Is there just out of curiosity, would there be a business case or a use case for keeping track of deleted dishes?
In case for any administrative error, if someone deletes it, then instead of rewriting it, maybe it's good to have it back from the cache can. But that's not a must to do so.
No. Okay. I made a note of this. It's no problem. Okay.
Okay. Update menu item description. I think we covered that already
Yeah,
in the. Okay. So this was the menu item workflow essentially that we went through.
and that gives you something to fill those menus with, you know.
Yep. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have any objections on what we've done so far, except for those pointers you mentioned now?
No, it looks good.
Looks good. Okay. All right. So I'm just gonna accept that story. Okay. View menu. No, that's for something else. Perhaps I should go over the menu workflow before I jump back to the API. Right.
Absolutely.
Okay. So the menu workflow is almost the same as the menu item. Come back to the features so we can get that. This just describes all the steps involved in creating a menu. Okay. Okay. Briefly, in order to be able to present my daily menus to customer, I would like to be able to access the interface for creating, populating, updating, and deleting menus. Okay. So we have some background here that says, given the following menu exists, we have a menu called Monday with a date, start and end date. This is when the menu will be valid, how long the menu will be valid for. This in this case, we maybe for 1 day, or I don't know. I don't know how you plan on creating your menus, but that's the idea behind.
So the admin will be able to adjust the date. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Yep.
All right. So, and we have the following menu item existing in the database as well, which is chicken and beef. When I log in as an admin to the interface, to the dashboard, and I'm on the menu page, if I click all, there's a link all on the page, then I should see an index with a list of all the menus. Okay. So I'm just quickly going to show you that. So we go to the menu page. Here's the index menus that already exist.
You have to click on all as well.
All right, cool. So I click on all, and then it shows you all the items. You'll see we also have this. Okay, we'll come back to that. But when you click on all, you get all the all the menus that were created on your system. Okay.
Right. Okay.
Creating a new menu. Okay, so in order to create the menu, you also need to be on this menu page. Then you'll see this new menu button there at the top. So when you click on it, the scenario is almost the same as the menu item. You fill in some details.
Okay, maybe I can give a little practical input here. Let's say we usually prepare a menu for one whole week, and in the week you have this Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, and then each day you get 3 items to be included.
Okay.
That gives 15 items per week.
All right.
And from this chart here, do you think we'll be able to create that?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
All right.
We'll be able to do that. Okay.
And occasionally, if we have some other strange kind of format, we can also adjust that.
Absolutely.
Yes. Yeah. You can.
It's just a matter of how you use this system, but we've had a fairly good understanding of your business model there. So we take those things into consideration, even if this requires some manual job from you. But if you have a look here, so Raul is creating a menu called Thursday, for instance, and now he can set a start date with a date type picker, which is in handy because then you don't have to write anything. You just choose that. and set a end date. An end date could be the same date, which is just a Thursday, for instance.
Right.
But if you could theoretically call this menu, weekly special, du vet, veckans erbjudande, and then you can set a start date Monday some week, and then end date Friday that particular week, and we're gonna make it exposable so it's displayed through that entire week, basically.
Okay.
But down below you have this menu item section, and that lists those 4 dishes that we have prepared in the system. And in order to select, you click on those and hold Shift or Command, and whatever 3 or 4 or whatever dishes you choose there, they will be assigned to that particular menu. So these are the 3 specials that you have on a particular given day.
Okay. Perfect.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. That's
because
cool.
First, so basically, just to recap quickly, first you created those dishes, and now you can create a menu where you can assign those dishes to. And those dishes can be assigned to many menus. They are persistent in the database, and you can choose to have them in any constellation, any variation that you choose, basically, on different menus.
That's absolutely great, because then we can create a huge database and then select the menu every week or every second week or so.
Exactly.
Yeah, perfect. Excellent.
All right.
So then I go ahead and I create that. You see, it gives me a summary, the menu, the date, and all the items for that menu.
Yeah. And again, as with the menu items, if you edit this, you can change the menu items. So if
I just select this one, and I pick this one, and then I can update the menu, and that will be changed as well.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
And then, of course, you can also delete that menu. So if we go to the index page, and
if you don't like this.
A question: if you go back to that page that you just showed me.
This one.
Now I see there are 2 variables here. One is item, and the other is price. Would it be possible to later on add more parameters here?
What would you like to see there as an administrator?
As an administrator, like for example, like we were discussing, the upper limit of the item.
Good. Absolutely. Yes. Yes.
Or lower limit, or it can be like a counter that, okay, let's say we made 50, and out of 50, 20 has been ordered or taken out by the customer. Then it counts in the opposite direction. How many are left, for example?
Sure.
Okay. Cool. We'll look into that. Okay. So again, you can delete and.
Gentlemen, I'm sorry. I have to take off. I saw it's.
You went over your limit.
Yeah. But keep up the great work. I think this is great. This is the first client meeting, so it's that we are overly pedagogical here. So going over stuff very slowly, which is good, because we have to get into a mode of understanding each other. So this is the biggest challenge. If I can just make a comment about this. This is the biggest challenge in all projects, that software developers and business people, they kind of talk over each other and don't communicate well enough. And so and this is one of the most important things that we work with in Agile Universities, that just to bring the business objectives and the understanding of the business problems by software developers, and vice versa. So you understand that as a business owner, that everything is doable in software development. We can basically create whatever, but it takes time, and it takes a lot of energy sometimes. Some features are simple, some features are more complicated. So, but we usually say yes to most of the stuff, but we don't want to take our too much water over our head.
No, absolutely. And I really appreciate, guys, what you have done so far. It really looks really great.
But you have a lot of stuff to go over. So
we still have
try to keep this briefly now with the admin interface. Show him the API calls, you know, the computer-to-computer interface, basically, and then whatever you guys have come up with in terms of the front end. And I try to catch the recording later. Okay.
Sweet.
If there's anything, I am available on Slack, but please let me spend some time with my family.
No problem.
Absolutely, absolutely.
All right.
Thank you
guys.
so
All right.
much.
Have some fun.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Okay, so I think we covered pretty much all on the menu workflow.
Yes.
Right. So this can be accepted, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Keep in mind that when we accept the story here, we can always, like, all the additional features you mentioned earlier on, we can always have them later on. Okay.
Yep.
Right. So now the next thing I'm going to move to is the API. This is essentially what gives, it's sort of like an interface between this admin interface, this admin dashboard that we've created, and an external application, say maybe your front-end website for your customers, where they will be able to view those menu item that you've created from the dashboard. Okay. So
what is this API stands for?
It's application programming interface.
Okay.
Okay. So just like it says, it's an interface between your back-end application and the outside world, in simple terms.
All right.
Okay. In this case, the outside world is could be a website, it could be a mobile application, maybe if you decide to have a mobile application later on, to talk to the same essentially it will use the same data that you have in your current database to push it to different mediums.
Okay. So this platform is expandable, if I understand correctly.
Correct. And this API will come handy for the developer who will be building those platforms, those external application, like your website and the mobile application. Okay. So
I had a small question regarding the security. How secure these systems are?
Secure in terms. Okay, so right now, in terms of security, all the actions in the admin interface needs to be you need to be authenticated to do whatever action, just like we covered so far. And with regard to the API exposure, in order for someone to make, they will have to be issued some sort of authentication token to access the data that is available on the back end. So we haven't quite implemented that part yet, but it's something that is in the pipeline. Not just anyone will be able to come in and just tap into the API unless they have authorized access to do so. Okay.
Hey, Rahul?
Yes.
Yes, Shafiq, just to interject here, the API we're talking about, we do not enable any admin actions to be performed through the API. The only thing you can do in the API is basically do what a customer can do in terms of select items that you want to order. So we're not exposing anything where somebody could come in and act as an admin through that API.
All right, that's great. And can anyone hack to this admin account? Okay.
Well, any software is hackable. Any software is hackable. So yeah, all we can try to do is make sure we make use of the right standard and all.
The reason why this will be very secure is because we are using a gem called device, which is like used by many other websites in the world, so it's pretty secure since we are not building our own authentication system from scratch. So the gem that library takes care of all the security issues, so we don't have to deal with them. So the interface should be pretty secure.
The reason I'm asking is that it's kind of vital at some point that since we are a company, if we launch it, when we will launch it, it has certain level of security. Whether it's supported by a third party or doesn't matter, but since especially towards the customer, so they will feel that this is a secure web page to do the transaction, for example. So that's the only thing, just to have it in mind.
Okay.
But, yeah.
All right. So this feature story was just about defining the structure of that API, like internally, and just to get a look of what data will be exposed. For instance, if the way a developer would access that, say for instance, the menu information, this will be provided in the documentation. For that, they will have to get access to this link, for instance, and this is how the information will be presented to them. So they have this list of items and menus that they will get written, and any developer working in the field will know how to use this to sort of like display them in the application they're building. This is essentially what type of information they will be getting, and we can restrict what we give them and so on, depending on what they need.
Okay.
So in order to sort of like make sure that everything is working, like I said, we started working on a sample application that talks to the same database that we have here. So I'm just going to quickly open it so that you can have a look of what can be done if I remember the link. Oh. Here it is. Okay, so this is just like a bare minimum app, and if you go to the menu section, for instance, you'll notice that
very nice picture.
Here it's pulling a weekly special, which we have here in the database. Okay, and it's pulling Thursday menu, the Friday menu, and so forth. So if, for instance, I go on and I create a new menu in the database just to show how things are connected, I'm just going to make a Friday menu. Do we have a Friday menu already? The Saturday menu. And I'll make the start here, and start there, and I'll add 3 items. So if I go ahead and create a menu,
I cannot
go back to the web application.
Yeah.
I wasn't talking for a moment, sorry. So now you see I created that menu, that new menu for Saturday. If I now move over to the front end application and I refresh the page, see, it immediately knows that I created a new menu and all that, and it can display that information.
So where does this picture comes from?
These are just sample pictures that we took from the internet to this, just to show you something.
But at the back end, where do we have this database for the pictures, corresponding pictures?
The pictures at the moment are not coming from the database. So what will happen is, as soon as we have the feature for uploading pictures to the game, we'll then link them those pictures. This was just for demo purpose.
But eventually we will be able to connect this actual name of the item with the picture.
Correct.
Picture.
Correct.
Okay. Perfect.
All right. So this is just like to give you a brief idea of what the API is and how it can be used to build website, XML web services and mobile applications to talk to your backend. Okay.
Just wondering, just came in my thought. Is it possible to make an email to send out the menu, a weekly menu to the database customers who wants to receive it with these kind of pictures and so? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
You mean something like a newsletter where every week you would probably send out emails to customers interested?
Right.
That's definitely something that is doable, and we could look at that down in the pipeline if need be.
Because as soon as I mean, it would be cool if it is possible to, as soon as we update the menu for the next week, for example, and the practical thing is that we usually send out the menu today on Sunday evening, or we want to update this web page on Sunday evening, for example. And when the web page is updated, it can automatically send the menu to the recipients.
Okay.
If that could be possible, it would be great.
Look, we can have a discussion about that at some point.
That's important, yeah. It's not a must now, but...
Yeah. All right. So, okay. So the story about creating a menu endpoint was essentially creating this link here so that the outside application can get access to this information. That was pretty much all about that story.
Okay.
And as you can see, we did manage to create that, and it gets information back and forth. So I think unless you have any other question on the API and on the endpoint, I think those two stories are good to go. I think so. Then we can maybe discuss have a brief discussion on the stuff that we're planning to do for the next days or week. Okay.
Yeah. Is it possible to send me this link that you showed, the front end?
This one. Yes.
You can just drop it in the message here, group chat, or maybe I don't know. Is this group chat also public?
Yes.
Okay, everything is public here.
But don't worry, I'll be able to send you the link later on. Okay.
All right.
Hey, Raul, this is Pat. So I've got some questions that I've written down as Shafiq has talked through some of the things he's thinking about. Do you want to wait on those questions until you've gone through some of the features you just alluded to, or should we address the questions now?
So I'm just going to accept these two stories now, and I'll briefly talk about what's currently on the process, like what we're working on at the moment, and then you can throw in questions. I'm guessing it's for clarification on some of the features we have to implement, right?
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah. So we'll get to that. I hope I'm not taking too much of your time, Shafiq.
No, actually, I was asking the same question to you guys. How long time do you have? I have no problem to continue.
Okay, so the meeting was set for 45 minutes, but since it's the first one, I'm guessing we have probably a lot to discuss. But we can maybe keep this down for another 30 minutes or so.
Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah.
Okay. All right, so these two stories can be accepted. And this one also.
So you're calling them stories?
Yes, stories. That's what we call them.
All right.
Stories or features. Yeah. Okay. The next thing. Okay, so this view menu. Well, I still have a few finished touch to do with that. That's why it's not marked as finished. This was related to this mock application that we have here. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
The small thing that I need to change is probably display the name of the menu item and rearrange some few small details there. That's why I haven't marked it as finished yet. Okay.
All right.
Okay, we already started working on the order process, placing an order from this website, and also I think there's a story on order workflow. I think Thomas started working on that. Oops. There should be a story on order workflow. Anyway. Oh, here it is. It's in the icebox. Okay, so nobody started working on that. So this is the story regarding what will happen when somebody places an order on the front end. What will you see on the back end, and the story, one of the feature we're looking into implementing very soon. Also, you will see that we have adding menu to items, like the picture, the image to every menu items. So that's one of the things we're gonna be working on. I think Patrick and Sam Pretty already started working on that today, but we're not at a point where we have something to show you yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you are working on these few items that are left here. Then also the payment system, right?
Okay, so regarding the payment, what we agreed, well, sort of decided on is, for this moment, we just gonna make sure that a customer is able to view the menu online, place an order, and maybe get a notification once it's ready and come and collect it. We were not quite sure how you handle your orders at the moment, so we wanted to keep it to strict minimum at the moment. But as you can see, we have a feature related to the payment that we will look into down the line.
Okay. Yep.
And maybe when we reach that point, then we'll have a little chat together and figure out what's the best way to handle that.
All right. So to create the workflow, basically, yeah.
Yeah. So at this stage, we want to make sure that the workflow is all worked out and working. Okay.
So Sam Preeti is saying something. He has something to show.
I do have some info. Most of the menu. Okay. Cool. Are you sharing your screen now, Sampriti?
Wow. That's an interesting image.
Okay.
Hello.
Yes.
Hello there.
Yeah, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes, I can.
Basically, what I have done is, for example, suppose I create a new product and let me check in, and it has a price. To create a new product, you have this browse option right here where you can upload an image. This is not necessary, but you have the option of uploading an image. So I have this pre-made picture right here, which let's say I just browse this and I upload. I create a new menu item from this, and then when you go to the view page, you see there's this image stored, right?
Oh, that's nice. Yeah.
And let me download another. Yeah, let's see, development. So that, suppose I can also change the image later. So basically, if I go to the edit product, and then I let me download another image, maybe this one. Save image as desktop. So I can just browse and select that new item, and that will be updated. So this is basically the menu item image functionality. So that is mostly completed. The only thing that remains is I have to test this functionality to make sure it works properly. So we have to write some tests, like the acceptance tests, to make sure that this functionality will work properly in every situation. So that is the only thing that remains.
Oh, that's great.
So the one thing we always try to do when building these softwares is make sure that we have some tests to back us up, you know.
The test that you do, is it for different platforms, web browsers and so on, or what kind of test it is?
At the moment, what we're testing is functionalities, whether the thing is working as we intended it to, you know. I think we can also do tests for different platforms at some point, but at the moment we're not doing those.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So I think these are like the main features that we currently focusing. We get from a customer point of view, and yeah, just to showcase the interaction between the outside application and our API that we currently building. Okay.
Okay. Yep.
So I think that's about it from my point. You had a question, I think.
If I had a question.
Go ahead, Shafiq.
No, I don't have any question at the moment. Looks
Okay,
good.
then Patrick, you can then ask.
So when you were talking, Shafiq, there's a few things, and I think all of my questions relate to futures, not things we're working on right now, although they may influence some of the things we're working on today. First one has to do with when you were talking about limiting orders or limiting the number of items that can be ordered in a particular day. How would that actually work in your mind? First off, would that be per menu item? And if it's per menu item, would that be fixed in the database, that the item is always limited to 25 per day? Or could it be when the item's added to a menu, then for that day's menu, you say this item can go to 20 or 30 or whatever? The other aspect of this, Shafiq, was when you started to relate to what I would call inventory tracking, which is where you would say that as we take an order for a menu item, we decrement the amount that we've served for that day, and you presumably in the morning have said, I can produce 20 of this item, and when we decrement to 0, we stop offering that item in a menu. That's what I would call inventory tracking, and that in particular strikes me as something we need to think carefully about, because you would have to maintain those inventory numbers every day. And if you didn't, we would probably be in a position of preventing ordering of menu items because the data's bad, and we think we'd run out. You know what I'm saying? So that's a little bit more complex in terms of
it could create a bad.
task.
Yeah, it could create a bad loop. I see.
Exactly.
I see your point. The way I was thinking is that it's up to the chef how many portions he or she wants to cook for a given day. So I would like to be flexible. So we set the upper limit on the day, depending on the situations, or one day before. And based on that, the customers, when they start ordering, they can see that they're placing the orders, but as soon as we reach the upper limit, there should be a message saying that it is sold out or it is no longer available or something like that. So the customer understands that, okay, it is gone now for today. The reason being is that also being environmental friendly, because we do not want to cook more than necessary or more than we can sell, because that adds on to the problem that how to store those extra food that is not sold. And at the same time, ideally, this feature I think that we will try to utilize in the future is that people will be able to order it in advance, in a few hours before, or every morning, or one day before. And then it will help us also to ensure that we cook the right amount. So the inventory tracking that you mentioned, yes, that is probably a bit tricky to implement, or we need to understand a little bit. Maybe we need to discuss a little bit more, okay, how it can be done so it can be smooth. It can compare with the the number that we set, upper limit, and also it refreshes every morning that it doesn't give the wrong value to your inventory tracking.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, so that one we'll have to think about or talk about downstream. What I'm hearing though on the number of the count for each item is you want to do it at the menu level, not at the menu item. So a particular item, one day you can produce 20 and the next day you can produce 10. You need to change that in the menu for each day, not in the menu item overall. So that's clear. That helps a lot.
Okay. But does it make it complicated for you guys, or is it better or easier to be at the menu level for the whole week?
I don't think it makes much difference to us.
Okay.
Doing it at the menu level, it's more flexible for you. At the menu item level, you would just set it once, and it would be reflected in every menu, but that's not your intent. That's the key thing I wanted to understand.
Right. That's right. So it's down to the menu items.
Down to the item on a particular menu for a particular day.
Particular day, right. That's right.
Okay. Yeah. All right, great. Well, that helps a lot. We'll come back to inventory tracking, I think, later. But again, that we need to think about that carefully. Second item, Shafiq, you mentioned when we're looking at the order, talking about the order, that we need to send a confirmation of the order receipt, both to the kitchen as well as the customer. What are you envisioning in terms of mechanisms for that? What's your thoughts on that?
The idea I was having was that one thing that the customer wants to know that his or her order is placed, some kind of confirmation, and the kitchen needs to know that there is an order came, and the administration somewhere in between. If it can be done automatically, it will be great, so that the confirmation either it comes in the kitchen as an email, or it can be there can be a printer in the kitchen that prints out the order, like it is done today in any restaurant, or it can be just an SMS. I don't know which one is easy to implement, but some kind of confirmation that confirms two things: one, towards the customer that he or she has completed his or her order, and the kitchen knows that there is an order placed.
Yep, so get that. As you heard earlier, I don't know if you picked up on it, our user model right now, which includes a customer, we only have email as an attribute. We don't collect the mobile or the SMS number.
Okay.
What we'd like to do is ship our first release with just email, and that's what we'd have to use to send confirmation, both to you as well as the customer, and maybe later we add SMS, because the customer is liable to be mobile, and I think that makes sense. Is that okay?
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that's perfect. And just thinking, email is perfect, but would it be possible to generate some kind of QR code or any barcode that can be scanned?
I'm sure it is. That'd be a future as well. We should put it in our so-called icebox. We'll do that.
The reason is why I was thinking is that when the person comes in, the customer, to pick up his or her item, we need to make sure that the person has received it. And if we can scan that, then it will directly go back to the database and confirm that it is received by the customer.
Okay.
Interesting idea. Yep.
And also, I mean, it will not create any confusion between the customer and the serving people, basically.
Right. Right. As opposed to just relying upon the last name of the customer or something, and
it could be just a simple bar that can be read by a bar reader.
Yep. Absolutely.
As simple as possible.
Yeah, that's a little bit beyond what we can do now, or even near term, but that's a fascinating feature, and definitely should add it. We'll add it to the list.
Okay, that would be cool. But anything what I say, it's not a must to do. But please also calibrate me so that I also understand the boundaries.
Okay.
Yeah, and we may come back.
Otherwise, I might throw in too many ideas.
Well, that's what we want to hear. We may come back later and say, you know, that QR code, that's way too much work. We can't do that. But we want to hear the ideas.
Okay.
We say no or yes. The last area that I had a question on, Farik, was this need to disclose ingredients that you mentioned. It's regulatory, it sounds like. I guess if you can give us a little more information about what that means, and also how extensive or deep is the disclosure. And by deep, I mean, let's say you use an ingredient in one of your items, your menu items, your dishes, that is produced in a facility that also produces peanut-based products. It's an ingredient that's not peanut-based, but it's made in a factory that also produces peanut products on the same line, if you will.
Right.
You know, for allergy purposes, etc., that has to be disclosed on a packaged item you buy in a supermarket, at least in the U.S. Anyway.
That's right. Yeah. It's the same here in Sweden, and what they have new legislation which came out in this year sometime, that we also need to disclose the preservative ingredients, like these E numbers. There are a number of E numbers, preservatives, and we need to tell the customers, or it needs to be available somewhere so the customer can find it out if needed. So what, ideally, looking at your infrastructure here, where we have the menu and we put the menu name and the picture, there we probably can have another tab where we can actually add this ingredient list. So if somebody, that can possibly come out like a link to that picture or to the item. So if somebody is interested to dig into it, can go inside and take a look at all the ingredients.
Okay. So from our point of view, Freak, it sounds like we can accommodate that by just another text field that you would populate. You'd list the ingredients separated by commas or whatever. It's that simple for us.
Yeah.
Okay, that's easy.
Yeah. So it doesn't need to be more complicated than that. So we can populate the data ourselves.
Okay, perfect. That's easy.
Yeah.
All right, those are my main questions at this point. Shafiq, thank you.
Yeah.
Raul, back to you.
Yeah, thank you very much for the great progress, and really appreciating your time here.
Cool. Is there anyone who has any concern, maybe any other questions before we wrap this up? Okay, I'm gonna take it as a no. All right, so I think we managed to cover quite a lot in those meetings. So Shafiq, for you were able to give us. We'll definitely be in touch with you with regard to progress we're making on this, and I'll also try and communicate more with you, like if maybe we have something and we need your input on that, maybe we can schedule a meeting in between and discuss on some of that. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
The one thing I'm glad is the fact that at least the tools, the medium we use for the meetings and all that is not going to be an issue for you. So yeah, at least that's one burden down. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Perfect.
Do you have any other comment before we call this?
Yeah, maybe one maybe two things. One is that the fault tolerance of the system that we are building up here, when we launch it, presumably it will run for like 99.99% time, right? And I don't know how it works it will work in the future, that once it is launched, and if there is any issue or technical problems, how it is handled.
Okay, so with regard to that, I myself, I'm not quite sure how it usually works in terms of Agile Venture, because this is like the first project I'm highly involved in. So I would say maybe this is something we can discuss with Thomas, and we can have we'll definitely find a solution to that, probably, I'm guessing. So I'm not quite sure on that yet, but we'll have to take it with Thomas and see.
Yeah. All right, perfect. Great.
Okay. Cool. I'm just gonna stop the recording here. So.